Tally is a girl who has always aspired to be beautiful. Her closest companion, Paris, is on the verge of undergoing the same procedure. In the meantime, they often venture out at night to watch the city where those who have already had the surgery reside. Tally is fascinated by how these individuals appear content and not excluded. Despite her eagerness, she must wait 3 months for her turn, while Paris's transformation is scheduled for the following morning. They first crossed paths as kids when Tally's folks brought her to the institution where she would reside until her 16th birthday. Paris, who is known as Big Nose, quickly became her companion and gave her the nickname Cross Eyes. One evening, on the bridge that divides the city of the pretties, they made a vow to be lifelong best friends, making their agreement official with a handshake. The following day, at the graduation ceremony, Dr. Cable, the district governor, announces that the operation will transform them into beautiful beings, eradicating any prejudice or discrimination based on looks. After the event concludes, Tally bids farewell to Paris with a warm embrace, recalling their promise to meet on the bridge in a month. Over the next few weeks, Tally goes through numerous scans to get ready for her surgery. She ponders over the changes she desires. She attempts to reach out to Paris, but he doesn't reply to any of her messages. A month had passed, and Tally waited until nightfall to break into her room and make her getaway. She made her way to the bridge, hoping to find Paris there, but was let down to see he wasn't. Concerned for his safety, she ventured into the city across the bridge. Wearing a mask, she was able to appreciate the city's beauty. Eventually, she reunited with Paris, who now sported blonde hair and a surgically altered nose. However, it wasn't just his looks that had changed. Upon seeing her, Paris initially didn't recognize her until she removed the mask. He confessed he couldn't recall their previous discussions and had even chosen to remove a scar from his hand, realizing it wasn't something he wanted after the procedure. Their talk was cut short when Tally was spotted as an intruder. She was compelled to flee using a unique vest designed for jumping from great heights. She made it to the bridge, but was on the verge of capture when a girl named Shay appeared and aided her escape on a hoverboard. Together, they managed to get away and soon realized they shared a love for bending the rules. Tally discovered that Shay, who shared her birthday, had lost the important figures in her life. The following day, rather than attending her lecture, Tally spends the day with Shay, who shows her the ropes of board riding. As they spend more time together, they begin to form a bond. Tally demonstrates to Shay how to utilize her ring for obtaining food or escaping the dorms at night. The day before her procedure, Shay discusses with Tally the option of skipping the surgery. The idea of growing old and developing wrinkles conflicts with their teachings, yet Shay believes it might not be such a terrible idea. Later, they rendezvous by a river. Each of them leaves their rings there. To avoid being spotted by the surveillance towers, they use their boards to navigate the decaying ruins, which were once a roller coaster. Even though it's no longer operational, the magnetic boards allow them to glide across the tracks. Upon reaching a deserted city, they ascend to one of the higher floors of a building. Shay ignites a fire with flint and steel, and to Tally's surprise, Shay announces that she won't go through with the surgery. Instead, she intends to flee to the smoke, a sanctuary where one's worth is not determined by their looks. Shay admits that on the night they first crossed the bridge, she had planned to run away with a group of friends but ended up being frightened. But after getting to know Tally, she came to understand that her true desires couldn't be found in the city. Tally would instruct her on her fate, which would mean losing her liberty. Shay pleads with Tally to accompany her to freedom, but Tally responds that her desire isn't for freedom. Upon realizing that Tally wouldn't be coming with her, Shay hands her a note with directions on how to locate her if she ever decides to change her mind. Suddenly, another fire erupts in the distance, and Tally observes her friend departing. The following morning, Tally is prepared to transform into a beautiful being. After the gathering, she is escorted to the operating theater, where patients are called out one by one. Yet, Tally finds herself before Dr. Cable. They have found out about Shay's vanishing act and suspect that a man named David has manipulated her, convincing others to believe in him and keeping them under his control. Dr. Cable requests Tally's assistance in locating Shay, but she declines to disclose her friend's confidential information. Consequently, her operation is delayed, and she is returned to her living quarters until she chooses to assist. That evening, Tally is surprised by Paris's unexpected arrival. She is delighted to see him and shares all the details of her current situation with him. Upon hearing her out, Paris suggests that she disclose all she knows so they can reunite in the city. He expresses his regret, explaining that his actions have changed since the surgery, as his life has been altered. Tally agrees to help, and the physician informs her that David intends to attack them, believing their lifestyle is superior. He cautions her that David aims to employ a device to obliterate the city and its culture. He reveals that David has manipulated Shay, who is now under his influence. She tasks Tally with discovering the smoke, sneaking in and finding the device before it's too late, handing her a necklace to wear once she locates it. Tally's adventure starts on a thrilling ride that leads her to a railway track. She then follows it, eventually coming across a massive barrier she has to scale. After that, she navigates through a destroyed trail that leads to a meadow filled with white blossoms, where she patiently waits for someone to discover her. At the same time, Dr. Cable has a meeting with Paris and expresses his gratitude for persuading Tally to assist him. He inquires about his feelings upon seeing her, and Paris confesses that her presence stirred emotions he hadn't felt since his operation. He then discusses with the doctor about a new initiative aimed at achieving genuine mental focus for individuals like him. Tally awakens, gasping for air, encircled by flames. Fortunately, David comes to her rescue. He inspects her things and discovers a concealed tracker on her board, yet he fails to notice anything unusual about the necklace she's wearing. Upon learning that the tracker was taken off the board, Dr. Cable orders 2 elite agents to investigate a 10 kilometers area. At the same time, David escorts Tally to a base where she's tasked with demonstrating her allegiance. To her astonishment, Shay is also present, and she's delighted to see her. That evening, Shay inquires about the origin of the necklace. Tally decides to fabricate a story, claiming it was Paris during his visit. She then attempts to persuade Shay to return to the city, but Shay is adamant and requests that she first meet the smoke's inhabitants. The following day, Tally finds out that the orchids, which were once thought to be a natural remedy, are actually poisonous and wreak havoc wherever they go. Consequently, David and his group decide to set ablaze the orchids to get rid of them. David reveals the harsh truth to Tally, while Shay takes care of the flames. However, Croy notices the approach of the enemy, prompting David to make a hasty descent, which leads to Shay's fall. Tally swiftly leaps from the helicopter to save her companion. Together, they manage to get away. Croy believes they were discovered upon Tally's arrival, but her courage in rescuing Shay earns David's trust. They eventually arrive at the Smoke, a community where individuals cultivate their food, collaborate, and eschew currency in favor of sharing and exchanging. Tally starts looking for a hidden weapon, but quickly realizes that the Smoke's inhabitants don't require weapons or explosives to survive. Their purpose is to protect the environment. Tally soon develops blisters from the labor, yet this does not deter her, and she consents to David's offer to instruct her in the use of the crossbow. Eventually, she discovers that David was born and raised in the Smoke, cared for by his parents. Their bond deepens to the point where David offers his gloves to Tally when he notices her blisters. Shay clarifies to Tally that in this world, items are treasured because David crafted those gloves himself. His gesture of giving them to her suggests he has feelings for her. Conversely, Shay prompts Tally to make a choice: remain in the Smoke or depart, considering it unjust to leave either David or herself, who both love Tally. During this period, Tally comes to believe the inhabitants are kind, challenging her initial skepticism about their possession of a weapon. One day, while by herself with David, she inquires about the weapon they intend to use for the city's destruction. David then leads her to a cabin, introducing her to his parents. Tally is amazed by the resemblance between David and his parents, a trait uncommon in the city. They reveal that prior to their time in the Smoke, they were renowned cosmetic surgeons in the state. David's mother was part of the Morphological Standards Committee, granting her access to the entire medical records. Meanwhile, David's father was dedicated to improving surgical techniques, aiming to reduce the annual death toll from these procedures, a secret known only to them. David's dad stumbled upon a series of head traumas that impaired individuals' cognitive functions, leaving them with an illusion of joy. Upon this revelation, Dr. Cable commanded him to halt his investigations. They came to understand that these traumas were not accidental, but were intentionally designed to govern the population. David's mom, who is also Dr. Cable's colleague, underwent surgery together with him, but her defiant and independent spirit led her to be welcomed into the inner circle, where she received a treatment that regained her cognitive abilities. However, this treatment was only given to the medical staff, with others receiving additional procedures, transforming them into mechanical beings. Realizing her mistake, Tally opts to dismantle the necklace and align herself with the smoke. The subsequent encounter with David, during which she intended to reveal her real motives, was cut short by him. Tally confesses that her identity is what truly matters to her, but David believes she's stunningly beautiful, leading to a kiss. The following day, a sudden loud sound jolts them awake. It's the sound of soldiers. Tally and David find a hiding spot to observe as the others are captured. Tally is taken aback to discover Paris among the soldiers, while David's parents attempt to intervene against Dr. Cable. Dr. Cable is on the hunt for David, and upon failing to find him, she commands Paris to eliminate his father. Tally, taken aback, struggles to comprehend the betrayal of her closest confidant. Upon her appearance, Dr. Cable identifies Tally and reveals her to the group, including Shay and David. The situation becomes more dire when she reveals that the process to transform everyone into perfect beings is already in motion. Tally manages to destroy a nearby hut, creating a window of opportunity to flee with David. The others are taken aboard the ships, while the laboratory and everything within it is obliterated. Tally finds herself in a cave, attempting to tell David that she didn't realize destroying the necklace would attract attention, but it's too late. David is resolute in his mission to save them and will require Tally's assistance, given her knowledge of the city and how to access the facility where they are captive. Upon their arrival at the school, Tally meets some of her former classmates who have joined the smoke, and upon seeing David, they agree to aid her, instructing her to create a diversion in the sky. This sets off the city's alarms, prompting the soldiers to launch an investigation. At the same time, Tally and David make their way into the facility where the captives are held. They quickly face a guard, who David defeats and steals his ring. This ring is crucial in their escape, but Shay is missing. She was taken for a medical procedure. Tally, along with David and his mother, attempt to intervene, but they arrive too late. Shay has undergone a transformation, becoming almost unrecognizable and exhibiting unusual behavior. Paris and Dr. Cable show up shortly thereafter, compelling them into one of the machines for their operation. Dr. Cable reveals that if given the choice, humanity would likely destroy the planet. In fact, they came close to doing so. It's clear that only a select few are capable of guiding humanity. Just as the operation is about to start, Croy appears and destroys the facility with a flamethrower. David's mom seizes the opportunity while everyone is distracted to rummage through the containers and locate the missing artificial part. Tally snatches Shay, and they all make their getaway, but they run into Paris. Tally attempts to bring up their past bond, but David is wary of him and lashes out, initiating a brawl. Yet, Paris proves to be considerably stronger, so Tally employs the hoverboard to nudge him over the brink. Paris clings on with one hand, and just before he succumbs, he catches sight of his closest friend. Utilizing the hoverboards, they manage to get away and find themselves in the devastated city. Here, David's mother is determined to finish the concoction for the antidote. Tally aspires to heal Shay, yet Shay is against it, and David's mother refuses to subject someone who doesn't wish to be healed to the experiment. Thus, Tally volunteers to be the guinea pig. She's ready to undergo the operation, hoping for a cure, even if it means risking her life. She vows to remember her true identity, hoping David will forgive her and return to her. A while later, she reaches her new abode with a refreshed look, content with her new state, and the movie concludes.